Oh, I got some juicy news for you. Profit First app version 2.0 is here. With an enhanced user experience and video guidance throughout, you can now be even more confident in your Profit First implementation. Plus, listeners who work with a certified Profit First professional get extra benefits. Check it out now at www.profitfirstapp.com. In accounting, visibility is everything, yet many firms still struggle with payment status and cash flow hurdles. Bill provides better visibility and control with robust audit trails and customizable approval flows. You get industry-leading security and a network of over 7 million customers and vendors. Eliminate tedious tasks and protect your data with a platform trusted by 93 of the top 100 U.S. accounting firms. Go to bill.com/grow to book a demo and receive a $250 gift card. Terms apply.
Most personal finance systems fail because they ask people to behave in ways that don't match real life. The Money Habit takes a different approach. It works with how people already interact with money, using their bank accounts to create clarity and control without budgets or guilt. We created the Certified Money Habit Mentor designation to give financial professionals just like you a way to guide clients using the system in real life. As a Certified Money Habit Mentor, you become the trusted guide when personal money stress starts affecting business decisions and confidence. Applications are now open for a limited group of certified money habit mentors. So learn more by visiting moneyhabitmentors.com.
Today, right here, right now, this is the moment that you will finally say,
I'm growing my accounting practice, and you're going to discover exactly how right here, right now,
on the Grow My Accounting Practice podcast.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Ron Saharian, co-founder of Profit First Professionals.
I'm Mike Michalowicz, the author of Profit First, and a brand new book called The Money Habit. And you, my friend, are listening to the Grow My Accounting Practice podcast. I bet you figured that one out by now. You're an accountant, bookkeeper, coach. You're in the right place.
This is where we're going to teach you how to grow your accounting, bookkeeping, and coaching practice. We're going to give you a great interview. We have insider access. We have GMAP tip of the day. Yeah.
Before we bring our guest on, I got to ask you, how are you feeling, Ron, about this premature summer day we're having today?
It's awesome.
It is, right?
Awesome. It is so good. I got the convertible out, driving around. It is so nice.
We're recording on March 10th in the Northeast, and it is 74 degrees outside.
And here's the tip for all you farmers. Do not put your vegetables in. Don't start planting till after April. We still have a possibility of getting some snow.
Yeah, exactly. Mother's Day, the Mother's Day trick.
Yeah.
All right, let's bring on our guest. Today we're going to talk about a topic that is often misconstrued and misunderstood. We're going to talk about teams, but supporting your team through systems. I think most people think their team is broken, they have cancerous employees or whatever, and they're not looking at the system or the foundation below it. And we're bringing in the expert to do this. It's Matt Granados. And if your team is underperforming, he's your guy. He's the founder of LifePulse, where he helps teams build sustainable, burnout-free performance. Has worked with organizations like Google, Twitter, and the U.S. Air Force, and is the number one international best-selling author and sought-after keynote speaker on this exact subject. So let's do it right now. Let's fix your team. Matt, welcome to our show.
Oh my.
Grateful to be here. Appreciate you guys very much.
It's funny. I said the number one international best-selling, but
I was going to let it go.
if we're going to go, it's like, this is the guy.
Yeah.
But to achieve that status means you must be circulating a lot and talking with a lot of different groups. We gave a little flavor with Google, Twitter. Are there smaller organizations that are getting this message from you too?
Yeah, we do Fortune 100 all the way down to not on any list. We do sometimes just with solo entrepreneurs. It doesn't matter. People are people. That's what I've come to find. So whether you're working at a high level white collar or a high level blue collar or no collar job, people are people, and that's the variable we work on. So I kind of tell clients when I come into their business, hey, you're what you do matters, just not to what I do. It's who you have, and I want to go in there and equip your people to solve the problem. Because like you were saying in the intro, I always tell people, people aren't the problem, people have problems. And that's why you have people problems. But we've all been starting to just enable our people versus equipping our people. And we wonder why it never works, why they never move out, why they never grow up. Well, why would they? You made it too easy for them. They don't have the ability to move on. So I love offering tools. That's why when I said like Profit First is a tool we offer to all of our clients, regardless of the size, for both that reason, personal and professional finances. So, which is huge, huge. And we leverage the financial side a lot with our clients on how do you get people to perform well, is give them financial literacy, because the majority of the people don't have it.
Is that one of the biggest problems that you're seeing within the the companies that you're coaching, is the financial burden of employees?
I wouldn't say it's the biggest,
Okay.
but it's pervasive. Does that make sense? Like everyone has it. I even have it, right? Like it's a hard thing to manage, whether you have a ton of money or you don't have any money. So it's the reality of, my wife and I, we had this person who aged out of the foster care, and we found out that when you turn 18, you're just sent out to the wolves. Like, hey, go figure it out. So we call them aunts. We're their aunts and uncles. So we'd adopt them. And one of them, I remember I was talking with him, and I was just like, hey man, like, what's your deal? He's like, I need a new car. And how much do you need? It was like $1,800 for this piece of junk car. And I was like, here, like, all I wanted to do was just give him the money, because that would be so much easier, and let him go get the car. But I was like, well, why don't you just save for it? And his response back to me was, what do you mean save? And I'm like, well, let's make a budget. And he actually, the words were, what's a budget? These are words that this individual, now he went through the foster system. He lived in the woods for a couple years. He was just 18. But what it taught me was, if you're not taught something, this is not common knowledge, especially because the world is telling us to do this way. And what you guys do is put parameters on something that the world says, no, spend as you want. You make money to spend money. And when I told that to Kelvin, a kid who never heard anything about anything financially, I was like, wow, that's really tough. What is even more interesting is when I bring this stuff up to people who you would think are financially aware of how it works, they still have no clue. Because unless you're intentionally taught it, unless you have your bucket set beforehand in your guys' system, it's not common sense.
Yeah. So
when you guys come and teach it, like when I read Profit First, I was like, this is brilliant. But why wasn't I doing it before? Is because it's not as common sense as we might think.
Right. But getting back to the people, it's a system problem, not a people problem. I had a boss that used to say, don't make your problems my problems.
Bingo.
All right. Is that where all this is starting? Is that it?
Yeah, but we could even tap that into what's going on with AI now, right?
All right,
That's always a hot topic. So we'll hit both at the same time. Your people problems aren't your problems, but because they have problems, they're not going to do what they're supposed to do. So it is a problem, just not a direct problem. And a lot of clients are like, well, man, my people should just do this and they should just do that. I call that shoulding on people. It's not a good way. No one likes to be should on. So in that context, yes, that's not your problem directly, but it will come back and get you. If you have an individual who's supposed to be operating at an optimal level and they're going through a divorce, I don't care how much you think they should do, they're not going to be at the highest level possible. So you as a leader then has to have a decision. Am I going to offer grace, or am I going to stay rigid and lose a potential good employee?
But can you explore those things? I mean, can I, Matt, go to a team member who historically may have performed well, now is going through a life event like a divorce?
Yeah.
And go to him and say, listen, man, you're not performing the way you were. What's going on? And can I explore that? Or is that HR kind of stay off of territory?
Yeah, I think it's absolutely okay. You can explore anything without suggesting anything.
I see.
Right? So like, it's like, oh, we can't talk about politics and religion. I could talk about religion all day long. It's not illegal to talk about religion. It's illegal to impose your views and belief and make a decision based off that and discriminate against somebody. So in that situation, there's twofolds. What I'm teaching you to do takes time to develop what we call is just a barrier of trust. So like, if you're sitting there going, all right, I've been a punk manager, just forcing things down people's throat. Like Ron, like you said, if it's not my problem, it's their problem. If you had that mentality, then all of a sudden you listen to this podcast, you're like, so Ron, tell me what's wrong with you. There's no way you're going to get an honest answer, right? Like you got to build into it. So part of it is how we actually put the process together to have what we call our pulse check every week, where we just ask 3 questions. There's 3 questions you could ask people and motivate them. After 4 weeks of hearing it, you'll know exactly how to motivate people. And we just put that into play.
What are the 3? What are the 3?
I thought you'd never ask, right? So it's what are you focused on this week? What are you grateful for? And what are you working towards? When I know what you're focused on, what you're grateful for, what you're working towards, there's a couple things I find here. I know where your head is. So if you've been married for 30 years and you're focused on your marriage, unless it's your anniversary week, something's up. Right? Like, hey, is it your anniversary? No, it's just tough time. Cool. Whoa, big red flag. We're going to address that later. Not now. We're going to address it later. Right? What are you grateful for? That tells you what they value. And everything about motivation has to do with value. We call it PVTT, personal value tied to task. Then what are you working towards? So if I'm working for you, Mike, and I have a big proposal that is due on Thursday, and that is what I say I'm working towards, you don't have to come micromanage me. But if I have a big proposal that's due on Thursday, and I say, man, I'm really looking forward in 2 weeks, we're going to the beach, and like I'm planning for that right now. Okay, might need to have a conversation because that answer didn't resonate. Now, we do this in 4 cycles because you're not looking for the individual fact, which the fact can change. We can jump into that in a second. You're looking for a trend. So over the last 4 weeks, what has this individual said they were grateful for? I had an employee who what he was grateful for was always time with his daughter. And he always would say that. He was our head of our warehouse. Late deliveries, the common sense thing would be is head of warehouse has to stay late to receive that delivery. But I knew that another employee of mine wanted extra hours. So instead of forcing the traditional, hey, you're in charge, you have this position, you must stay, I'd let him get home to have dinner with his kids because I knew that's what he valued more than anything. And I let this other individual who wasn't married, who wanted more hours, stay for an extra hour and a half to receive the late delivery. So it allows us to not pull or withdraw from our emotional deposits or our trust bank without having to make a big mistake.
I love it. I love that. I mean, I'm sure we could but I'm thinking of myself and other managers. If we've been doing the same thing and managing the same way over 10, 15, maybe even 20 years, can you teach an old dog new tricks? I mean, is it even possible?
You can teach a dog new tricks by giving them guardrails to not fall off the road. And here's what we do. So we have a system that is called the LP system, and it's just 9 questions every week to get your head where it needs to be. Everything we do is based on that. You want to know what the first 3 questions are? What are you focused on? What are you grateful for? What are you working towards, right? So they're coming prepared. And what we do is we tell people, if you're going to make a drastic change like that, and I'm not saying bring us in, but bring in someone who can really teach the content. Like bring in an expert teacher in what you're trying to do, because your voice is probably more tied to what we call motivational walls in people than it is like loving and caring. If you're that manager, if like, I really need to change. So bring in an expert. It is worth the investment, even if it's expensive, because they can say the same things you're wanting to say, but from that third party voice, people believe more of what they overhear than what they hear directly from you, right? So that's the first thing. The second thing is you need to do the system yourself. Most managers like that put themselves on a pedestal. So hey, y'all should use profit first, but I'm not going to. It's like, wait a minute. It's like I joke, if you hire me as a coach and I don't have a coach I'm using in my life, there's a problem there. There's a disconnect in what I'm offering to what I value. So that's the same concept. So you have to, I go serve what you eat.
Walk the talk.
Yeah, and do it. And what happens is when we come and coach, we do it through either individuals, one-on-one, leadership teams, or the entire company or department. And the one thing I always say is when we were in Atlanta, and the CEO of the airport, we were working with them, and it wasn't until he started using the system that his people started using it. Everyone loved the workshop. Everyone was excited about the workshop. But then until he started using it about a month and a half later, that is when everyone else started using it. So it's the concept of, I want to show you what's happening. When we work with leaders and coach the actual head people, they are walking, talking examples of the proof of what happens when using this system. So that's how we combine coaching and training with companies. But if you as a leader are not willing to do the work yourself to transform, why would your people? If it's not good enough for you, it's not good enough for them.
So Matt, some people listening in may not have the demeanor to do this. They're not personable. At least they don't feel like it.
Yes.
Can this be assigned out to someone else, or does it have to be done by the owner?
It could be assigned out by anybody, right? Anyone could be the champion of this, but the owner needs to be bought into it. So for example, right, like we work with CPA firms all over the country. Somehow we just came into that world. With the majority of the CPA firms that we work with, below partnership, it's almost like the human side of everything is not their strength, right? Numbers, they're good, they're analytical, they're black and white. So the gray area, which is where, personalities come in is not necessarily where they, not that they can't, that they don't necessarily want to be. They want to be more on the analytical side. And what we found was by giving them those 9 questions in that system, it gives them almost like a track to run on. So it allows them to use the system, get proof that it works. And once people experience proof of something working, they don't go back. Again, I don't mean to keep bringing up Profit First. This is why the 10th and the 25th are fun days for me. It's like,
Yeah, you were talking about it earlier.
right? Like I like those days of the week because I get to go in and put money here and put money there. And it all keeps the same flow working out. And people love systems. Structure brings freedom. Rhythm brings peace. We saw what happened when COVID took those 2 things away. We lost those two in society. Away. Yeah. So all of a sudden, but humans, I don't want structure. No, they don't want bad structure. People crave structure. The universe functions in systems. This is not by accident things are working. The chances of us being able to take a breath right now and not just imploding or exploding, whichever one would happen, is crazy. It's perfectly designed here. And I think that's the same when it comes to systems, is when you introduce a good system and you introduce it properly through training and allowing questions and having the understanding behind it yourself, people crave that, especially the newer generations coming into the workforce.
On your topic, it says here, most leadership training is a waste. Mm-hmm. You want to expand on that?
Yeah, because it's almost, there's no follow through. So we just did an event. We do an event once a year. It's called Realign, where we bring in executives, entrepreneurs, and professional athletes. And we bring them on because they are what we would say is the highest level performers.
Yeah.
Optimal performance is something that people don't teach. That's all we look after to go to. So what it takes is not just knowledge. That's what most leadership training is. Most leadership training is knowledge-based. It needs to be knowledge applied properly. That's my definition of wisdom, right? Knowledge used at the correct time in the correct way. A lot of the leadership training that we have is, hey, let me come tell you how to do your job better.
Right.
Most people know how to do the job. Like they know what they're supposed to do, how to actually do the what. That's where people fall short to. Like that's where we come in. Okay, so you're a CPA. What do you need? I got to, billables is always an issue. Invoicing or billing and just going into that is always a problem with CPAs. A lot of them don't like to do it. Some love to do it. So we address that issue there. We give them a system that they can implement immediately to their life. Most leadership is, hey, Ron, here's what you need to do. So now you're busy trying to focus on what that guy told me to do versus understanding the truth behind it, because truth is constant, and how to apply it properly to my situation. Our system teaches truth, but it shows you how to apply it to your situation as well.
Yeah, it's like going to an event or a convention and not applying anything that you learned over the 3 days.
Yeah. And it comes with the fact that we call it truth-based transformation, right? So truth-based transformation is where basically truth creates tension, and then tension leads to transformation. And that's the focus that we try to work with as we navigate each person we're working with.
I love it.
What about I have a bad apple syndrome?
Yeah.
I hear a lot of companies say this employee stinks. Sometimes they're cancerous. How do you bifurcate truly ineffective bad employees that are hurting your corporation versus a bad system that is making that employee look bad?
Good. Love it. All right. So if there's that employee, we need to evaluate it honestly, not emotionally.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is we need to make sure that, is it a person problem? Is it a system problem? If you have good systems in place and this is a bad person, the conversation comes to the one-on-one with the person, and then it leads to clear expectations.
Yeah.
That's the key. And then what happens is grace with no slack is how I work with people like that. I'm happy to give you grace, but I will not give you any slack.
What does that mean? Can you explain that?
Yeah. So I think that's kind of the definition of loving on your employees. So grace means if Ron has been messing up, sorry, Ron, you're just on the screen for this one.
All right.
If Ron's been
it's more true than not. Okay.
If Ron's been messing up, and I go, hey, Ron, here's the conversation. I want to make sure our expectations are very clear. Here is what I need from you, and here's what I'm seeing. Here's what we need to get to, right? Then I'm going to give you grace, which means when I come to you and you're still doing it, I'm going to ask you why, and I want to understand not an excuse, but a reason. And I'm going to take that reason, okay, I'm going to give you grace, but no slack, meaning that's not acceptable. Now, you can give them 1 chance, 2 chances, 3 chances. That's your decision. But grace with no slack means, hey, I know it's going to be hard for Ron to change right away. It's been 10 years of him doing it this way. So I'm not expecting you to just flat out change, but I want to see the progress of the change.
I love that. I think that's key. Thanks. Yeah.
And internally, we call this, when we work with our higher up executive coaching clients, is responsive reflection. And where this happens is, all right, Mike, I'm going to pick on you now because I've been a little mean to Ron. But Mike comes through, and Mike has a radical transformation. We're working together, and Mike just all of a sudden he's organized, he's on point with everything. He understands what's everyone's sitting there going like, this is a transformed Mike. Mike now understands this newer version of himself, but the other people are still used to 10, 15 years prior. We work with this with clients who get over an addiction, whether it's alcohol or something, right? Like, hey, I'm clean. And they're like, yeah, but I only knew the drunk you. I only knew the mean you. So I get that you're no longer the mean manager, but you still are to me until repetition comes through. So as the leader, you can't sit there and be gung-ho on something and now you're fired up. We're going to storm the hill. We're going to make the change. No, it's going to take time. And there's going to be mistakes. And you have to be okay seeing the mistakes and helping plug the hole where it needs to be, or hire someone who can do that, whether it's an internal person or an external consultant, to help that program get implemented properly so that you're not babysitting, you're just walking through the system.
Yeah, it's almost like at this stage, I love the grace. I love how you explain that, and the analogy of it's going to take time for the other person to recognize the change person, right? It's something that almost like without the grace, you're pretty much setting the person up to fail.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like it's almost like you want, your expectation is already leading down that path.
The expectation of perfection is a terrible way to live, a terrible way to work, and a terrible way to build any type of a community whatsoever. And what I mean by that is that concept, we call it basically the inefficiency epidemic, which we point out all the time. And what studies show is that the average person is only working about 40% of their capacity. They think they're working 100, but they're not. That's why when we come in, we make huge change because we get them from 40 to 60, 40 to 80. Holy smokes, they're at a massive jump. But what we do when we're hiring people is we tend to hire people based on, okay, if they come in and do 100% of their ability, they're going to get the job done. That's a failure waiting to happen. When we hire people, you need to be at 80% of your capacity to do 100% of the job I'm asking for. If you can't do the job I'm asking for at 80% of your ability, I don't want you, because there's going to be change, growth, uncertainty, unknown. And our goal is to get every client at 80% capacity and as high as you can in efficiency.
Yeah. Sounds awesome, right?
Yeah.
Matt, we could dig it so much deeper, but the time gods are saying otherwise.
Oh my gosh, that was quick.
Could we get details on our list for our listeners on how to learn more about you and perhaps get your services to help them through this process?
Yeah, you could reach out to our website. My personal email is matt@lifepulseinc.com. You can send it directly to me. You can find us on any social media channels. And what we can also do is we can create a custom page on our site just for your listeners.
That'd be great.
And what we'll do is we'll just do it with the acronym. What's the acronym for the show? I don't have it in my head.
GMAP, GMAP.
All right. So we'll do lifepulseinc.com/GMAP, and I'll put some free resources on there as well that people can access, and have any questions, they can obviously reach out.
Great. And for our folks, when you email Matt, also put GMAP in the subject line. So matt@lifepulseinc.com. And put in the show notes. Matt, thanks for these insights. We appreciate you.
Yeah. Before you go, why don't you just share real quick a little bit about your book, Motivate?
Oh, yeah. That's a good idea.
Yeah, Motivate the Unmotivated is one of our books. It's all about basically debunking the myth that you can't motivate others. Now, you can't build motivation in someone, but I talk about motivation as almost like the pilot light in the furnace. It's always lit. We all have it. It's just how do you actually manage it and create an environment to allow it to work the way you need to, while also being careful, because like a pilot light, if it managed incorrectly, it will blow your house up. So motivation is key. Managing it is possible. Creating it within somebody is not possible, but we have all been designed to have a desire for something. Therefore, motivation is within all of us. Motivation is not a character trait. It's a state of mind. And if it's a state of mind, I can change it. It's like sales. It's the same concept. So that's the basis of it. We have our main character is called Unmo. He's a long distance cousin of Elmo, and haven't gotten a cease and desist yet. But like I said, we love walking people through it and reminding people that there are solutions to these people problems, but it's not the people that are the problem. It's the lack of their awareness and understanding on how to solve the problems that's causing the headache for you. And that's where systems come in to fix it.
That's awesome.
Love it.
Matt, thank you for joining us for today.
Yeah, thank you, Matt.
Always. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah. Awesome. Wow.
Ron, we got to share what we learned from Matt, plus dig into some other content here. You got insider access, I believe, for us.
Yeah, I've got an insider access, but what were your biggest takeaways, Mike?
Yeah, so I liked at the end where you talked about the 80% capacity to do 100% of the job. That's actually a manufacturing principle of what they call protective capacity. And I love how you translated it over. A couple other things is bringing the outside expert. This is the same thing we preach. It's because the lack of emotion, and they can think about it much more methodically. And then there's three questions: the focus, the grateful, the working toward. I thought those were all great. What were your thoughts, Ron?
I love the three questions. It's very similar to what we do on a daily basis. It's also similar to what our coach was doing with us with the MEPs and things like that. I love it. I think it's great. What I also am going to borrow, Matt, is when I hear people say to me, oh, my employee should have done this. My employee should have done that. I'm like, no, you're shooting on them. That's not right. There's an issue there, and it's not necessarily the employee. It's the lack of systems or even the business owner themselves. So I really appreciated that, as well as tied to motivational walls, right? And so, an employee, could have a wonderful transformation, but the people to the right and the left may still be looking at them as the same dope. So we got to give each other grace and time for everybody to in this world.
Yeah, I also like he said a bad person needs clear expectations, and it's air quotes around bad. Ron, what do you got for insider access? Something you're doing at our offices that you think our listeners could use over there?
Yeah, one of the things that I've been coaching a lot of our members on is hiring, job descriptions, interview techniques. And what I've learned is that, we're missing an important ask in that interview, and we're not asking for what we really need. And what that is, a crack filler. Right? A lot of times we're hiring people so that things don't fall through the cracks. I need an account manager. I need an office manager. I need this. Why? Things are slipping through the cracks. I'm not available. Yet, very few people actually interview with that mindset, meaning, hey, one of your major priorities is make sure nothing falls through the cracks.
Yeah.
Right? We've got to literally say that. If that is what you're hiring for, somebody to pick up the slack, somebody to make sure there's continuity, make sure there's everything that's flowing from sales to delivery to follow up, your job is to make sure nothing falls through the cracks. You need a crack filler.
You've been waiting to say that. I got one more thing for you. Is the GMAP Now task. So one task, if you do it, you will see results. I want you to go on a 4-week vacation. This is something that Ron and I both do. The power of this is often the most distracting employee is the owner herself or himself. They interject themselves. They take work on their own accord, thinking they're supporting their team when their team is unable to kind of build muscle around that. But when you lead for an extended period, ideally 4 weeks, a full month cycle, your team has to step up. Now, here's the key. This is not about you getting a vacation as much as the business getting a vacation from you. And yes, problems will reveal themselves, but those are the systems you need to fix.
I love it. That's you stressing the business. Stress equals transformation. The whole thing.
Next episode, I'll tell you about something that RVS did, the great school that we all both went to around this. So before we wrap it up, though, Ron, there is a website that every listener should be visiting in addition to Matt's website.
Yep.
And it's profitfirstprofessionals.com. We invite you to consider becoming a PFP today. What's so interesting is with the rise of AI, the logic, and the people are foreshadowing this for a long time, but bookkeeping and data entry and tax processing, all those things are automated. But the human connection, the navigating the nuances around profitability is not AI'd. And Profit First will allow you to do that. So go to profitfirstprofessionals.com right now to check it out And once you apply, you'll have a dialogue with Ron, Liz, or one of our team members.
Awesome, guys. Don't forget to review, like, and subscribe. Thank you, Matt. Great job today. Really insightful. Thank you, audience. Till next time, may the profits be with you. Take care, everybody.